keeping in mind that the facts are that Donald Trump often talks like he's tough, like he's ready for these legal fights, like, to use a common parlance, he wants the smoke. Sometimes he makes it sound like he wants all the smoke. But in many of these big cases, Trump University, testifying to Mueller, firing his own staff, Donald Trump don't want the smoke. To paraphrase Gucci Mane, why you flexing, Donald? You don't want no smoke. Keep on taking these pictures, holding these straps, but you are a non-smoker. I'm joined now with David Corn, Washington Bureau Chief Mother Jones. I put the question to you. Does he really want the smoke?
I don't know what Grandmaster Flash would say about this, but I think what we're getting to, the smoke, is maybe existential smoke.
Umbrella. She's up. Whole nother level of shit you can't even understand.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another episode of The Forecast. Now, to destroy white supremacy, we really have to understand white supremacy. And we have to understand how they weaponize everything, including white women. White women weaponize themselves. But for some reason, everybody wants to give white women a pass when they have probably gotten more black people killed than anybody. Ida B. Wells was one of the first people to expose white women and their role in getting black people lynched. Back in 1892 in her work Southern Horrors, and people really need to check it out. She broke down the dynamic between black men and white women back in the 1800s. She was the first one to show how white women were used and oftentimes the leaders of getting so many black people murdered, especially black men. Even though most of these relationships were consensual. She exposed how white men, even though they preferred black women and often raped them, and they did it so much that it created a class of mulattoes in the South. If they thought a white woman even liked a black man, they would hang him. And Miss Ida B. Wells can explain the lynch law better than I can, and she really broke down how the lynch law worked. She explained how white women's word was taken as gospel, even if they consented. Like one white woman who was caught with a black man in her bedroom. She said she just got curtains from her and he was putting them up, and her word was taken as gospel. But in far too many cases, the white women who say, I feel like he's looking at me sexually, their word is taken as gospel too. And even though a majority of these cases was consensual, so many black people was murdered. And Ida B. Wells was the first one to expose how they use media and propaganda to paint us as beasts and savages that just wanted to rape white women. And she broke down how they used the myth of black men lusting for white women to get on code. She explained how when they kill leaders of a movement, other black people will be scared to lift a finger to defend themselves. And how we as black people far too often take white women's word as gospel too, without asking any questions. And Ida B. Wells says she did it to show us how the lynch law worked and the causes for it. And how white women use deception and betrayal to eventually get us murdered. She says she had to show that we are the ones more sinned against than we are the ones doing the sinning. And if she can contribute to us getting ahead in any kind of way, then she felt like she's done a service to her race. She often talked about how every black family should have a gun in their home. And in her work, The Red Record, she took the time to gather every black person's name that had been lynched from the time of the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 to the time she finished her work in the 1890s, and to find out the reason why they were lynched. And her work should be taught in schools, and we all should have to learn it. But how did the dominant society respond to it? They burned down her printing press. And of course, they threatened to kill her if they ever caught her. But of course, it never stopped her from doing the work. But to this day, we're still making the same mistakes. And to this day, if you even think of questioning a white woman's word, or God forbid, talking about punishing a white woman, then you'll be immediately punished or reprimanded in some kind of way.
New at 6, the president of the St. Louis County chapter of the NAACP has been suspended tonight. Leaders of the national organization sent a letter to John Gaskins announcing their decision to remove him as president immediately. According to this letter, the decision comes because of Gaskins' support for a Missouri bill that would change how sexual assault is investigated on college campuses, and because of his public support for the Better Together merger. The letter says Gaskins Gaskin is to, quote, cease and desist immediately from holding yourself out as president of the St. Louis County branch of the NAACP. Gaskin can request a hearing on the matter within the next 20 days.
Now, this brother John Gaskins was kicked out of the St. Louis NAACP simply for supporting a bill that would give black men due process of law, especially when accused by white women. Now, most of these cases, especially on college campuses, are disproportionately black people being charged. We see white boys on college campuses getting away with rape that we know about and they're convicted of. But when you talk to the people taking the reports, it's usually white women accusing black men, and a disproportionate amount of the cases. And ever since President Obama passed Title IX, there has been a rise of black men accused on college campuses, mostly by white women. Now, this brother John Gaskins simply supported legislation that would give someone accused a chance to get a lawyer, and they would also get a chance to learn the charges against them and have a chance to cross-examine the witness. But they say this bill would re-victimize survivors and stop others from coming forward. But in American history, nothing has ever stopped white women from coming forward or even threatening to come forward with something that never even happened.
Athletes accused of rape sue university. 2 black college athletes expelled over rape allegations are suing their university, claiming denial of due process and racial discrimination. Students Justin Browning and Alphonso Baity filed the lawsuit against the University of Findlay last month. Browning and Baity were expelled just 2 days after they were accused of rape by a female white student. Neither student has been charged with a crime. According to the lawsuit, Browning and Baity were friends with the woman, identified as MK, and she visited their shared campus house often. The lawsuit says that on September 20th last year, MK approached Baity at a college party and asked where Browning was. When MK saw Browning, she took his cell phone and put her number in it. MK and Browning then danced and kissed. The lawsuit says MK consented to leave the party with Browning. They were joined by more friends at Browning and Baity's house. According to the lawsuit, MK and Browning had consensual sex in the room he shared with Baity. When Baity returned from the party, he went into the room to retrieve a phone charger. He claims MK then invited him to have sex. The lawsuit says MK later left the room naked, saying she might want to vomit, before sitting on a couch and conversing with witnesses. MK had sex with Browning again and spent the night. The students say they were expelled, despite every witness backing up their story. They claim witnesses also said MK later boasted about the sexual encounters. MK made her complaint 10 days after the alleged rapes. Browning and Baity say the university did not follow due process and are demanding damages.
Now, in this case, 2 brothers, 2 college athletes, Justin Browning and Alphonso Baity, both had sex with the same white girl and they're protecting her name, but they were both with her on the same night on 2 different occasions. Now, these 2 brothers and every other witness said it was consensual, the girl spent the night, and she even bragged about what happened to her friends. Then 10 days later, out of nowhere, she filed a written complaint of sexual assault. Now, keep in mind, these 2 brothers were never charged because there was no evidence of assault. But the college, the University of Findlay, issued a campus-wide alert that they had been expelled. And then they put their names and their faces in the local paper. Again, using the media to show black men as the big bad rapists lusting after white women. They never put this white woman face out there or even put her name out there. And these 2 brothers did end up suing the school, saying the investigation and the punishment was a sham. They said this whole thing was motivated by race. Black men make up less than 2% of the student body, but the only other person expelled in the last 2 years was another black man accused by a white woman. In another case, in another college, 5 different brothers were actually arrested because they were accused by a white woman.
Late last week, as students were preparing to go home for Thanksgiving break, allegedly a sexual assault took place here on the campus of William Patterson University in the dorms. And so it's got the whole area talking.
You hear this stuff on the news, but I didn't know what's happening right here. We got to get further in detail of what actually happened, Who knows if they actually did it or not? 5
male students are accused of restraining 1 female student and forcing her to engage in sexual activity with them. The graphic criminal complaint contained words like involuntary servitude, kidnapping, even implied that a gang rape may have taken place. Today at the Passaic County Courthouse, the 5 men had their first day in court. During the hearing, all of the young men either were stone-faced or just appeared afraid before their attorneys entered pleas of not guilty. But a couple interesting things happened. First of all, for a case with this severe charges, it was interesting to see bail reduced from $200,000 to $50,000 for all of the defendants. The other thing that stood out is that the overwhelming majority of people in the courtroom were there to support the defendants. On the way out, I spoke to one of them, and they said they've known one of the defendants for years, and they just don't believe they would do something like this.
Maybe things need to be investigated. Maybe things were misconstrued and misunderstood, and things went a little bit too far.
They're just too smart to do something like this.
This case is getting a lot of attention because it's the second allegation in just a few weeks here in New Jersey, with similar allegations at nearby Ramapo College. People are also paying close attention because statistics have come out that indicate that as many as 1 in 5 women are sexually assaulted on college campuses. So everybody's paying attention to the outcome of this case and others like it. Clearly, there are more questions than answers right now, as even Judge Clark acknowledged when she pointed out that none of these men has a criminal record, and she doesn't believe that any of them are a flight risk. If convicted, they could face a maximum of 20 years in prison with all of the different charges.
So in another case at William Patterson College, another white girl, who they also protected her name and didn't put her picture out there, accused 5 black men of locking her in a room. She said they kidnapped her, and then she used the term involuntary servitude, trying to say they enslaved her, and then forced her to perform sexual acts, trying to imply they gang raped her. Now 2 of the brothers, Garrett Collick and Noah Williams, ended up suing. They admitted they did have consensual sex with her after she started it, and they said she initiated it with all 5 of them at some point in the past, at least one time before. But just based off her word, all 5 of these brothers was kicked out of college and arrested. They spent 9 days in jail until a grand jury decided not to indict them because there was no evidence. But despite them being exonerated, the school still refused to change their mind about them being expelled. The president of the college, Kathleen Waldron, another white woman, said the school has their own process, separate from the legal system, and their decision of expelling them still stands. And these brothers who was on scholarship and lost their scholarship can't continue their college education. And even though it's not 100 years ago when the lynch law was in full effect, or even 50 years ago, none of these white women were punished for falsely accusing black men. And until we start holding them accountable, of course the dominant society is going to let them continue to get away with it. We are the only ones that can stop it, and far too often we give them a pass. And if you're somebody that just needs to date interracially so bad, then destroy white supremacy first. But until then, we are all we got. And at some point, we're going to have to get on code so that we can protect ourselves. We don't have any other choice.
The question I have for you, we have had 3 female African-American mayors in a row. They were all passionate public servants. 2 resigned, though. Is it a signal that a different kind of leadership is needed to move Baltimore City forward?
Oh my God.
There it go. Watch it. Not you, man. I'm sorry. You're cool. Keep going. You're good. I'm just recording something. No, you're all right. But look at that. She's supposed to be texting. What the fuck is she doing? How far she go? How low can you go? Miss Officer, how low? Wake the fuck up.
I had a whole bunch of paperwork.
Hey, we're trying to, you want to get out of here fast, right? So if we have more people, y'all niggas been trying to something. You want to get out fast.
Racist ass bitch.
No, that's the cool.
I bet she ain't had that badge on. She won't call us no niggas.
Hey, we're trying to, you want to get out of here fast, right? So if we have more people, y'all niggas been trying to something. If you want to get out of here faster, we have more of our friends to help you get out faster. Nope, that's a quote. Those were your words. I would still say it because what I'm doing is repeating your words.
I was very disturbed by both the short Snapchat or Instagram video, but then also the longer 12-minute video from the officer's body-worn camera.
Basil, you're up next. You got anything?
The level of disrespect and, in my view, that the officers treated the young men was totally uncalled for. Obviously, the use of that disparaging term is uncalled for and unacceptable. And the police, to their credit, have admitted that. But I think we need to be looking also at the other actions of other officers in that longer 12-minute video.
You're one angry individual.
In my view, for a response for a loitering or trespassing call for people that are standing outside waiting for an Uber to take them to work, it's not an appropriate response, and they didn't interact with them with the respect that and courtesy, frankly, that I think our officers should interact with the public.
Yo, I'm big into straps. Strap on, strap off, lots of different straps.
Another point you made on Twitter yesterday was that maybe the situation for why the men were pulled over in the first place needs to be investigated. Have you spoken to Acting Police Chief Hamill about whether or not they're going to do more further investigations besides just the one officer who used the racist term?
I'm confirming that. I've made that request today. I have a call in to the police department on that issue saying that, look, let's look at the whole situation. You need to talk to all the young men, because one thing you don't see from the body camera footage is they're already engaged with several officers when this officer who used the disparaging term arrives. So there's obviously a whole set of circumstances before that. And so, yes, my urging will be that needs to be looked into as well.
Well, then stop crying. You act like a little girl. Hey, act like a little girl.
That's not nice.
A shocking photo from an elementary school in the high desert showing these teachers holding a noose and laughing has parents outraged.
Well, CBS 2's Dave Lopez is live outside Summerwin Elementary School where the teachers work. And Dave, tell us what this is about.
Well, it is a very big firestorm here. It all happened within the last 24 to 48 hours, and there's been some action. The teachers have been suspended along with the principal. I am told that it was supposed to be a photo that was to be shared only within a few circle of friends. It was never supposed to go on social media, but it did, and then came the outcry. The four women in this picture have been identified as elementary school teachers at Summerwin School in Palmdale. They are posing while one holds a noose. A second picture shows the noose hanging from a pillar inside the school's offices. And now, the fallout.
And you know the meaning behind it, behind our history, and you know you're going to get backlash for it if it gets out, and it obviously did.
If you look at the picture, you could see that they're smiling, and even if it's a joke, you just don't play like this.
And according to teachers and parents, the woman on the far left in this photo, smiling with the short blonde hair, is Jennifer Garcia. She was the one who testified at the Gabriel Fernandez trial. We repeatedly tried to reach Ms. Garcia by phone. No answer. And the district refused to identify by name any of the teachers involved. Your teacher's in the picture.
Yes, sir. She's actually holding the noose.
And then he identified her.
I'll give her a name. I mean, eventually she's going to come out. Miss Jones.
Miss Jones.
Yeah.
And when you saw that, had you ever had a problem with Miss Jones?
No. I've heard she actually was a pretty good teacher for 20-some-odd years.
Outside the school today, parents, local activists, were outraged.
I was infuriated. I was worried that if he's okay and if anything's happening to my son.
It's time to move out of the state, move out of this area.
We came to district headquarters to get an on-camera comment from anyone, preferably the superintendent, but we were told there would be no statements made on camera to us. We did get confirmation that there is an investigation and that the teachers in the picture and the person who took it, allegedly the school principal, are all now placed on administrative leave. On leave, but with pay, pending a complete investigation.
Appalling, it's frustrating, it's beyond words.
Just a little while ago, a mother and a father came up to me and said that their daughter is in the first grade class of Miss Garcia, and they told me that Miss Garcia actually reported to work today in the classroom. But again, there were many teachers that were here, and when they saw her come in the classroom, knowing about the picture, they demanded that she leave, and she did. And then a short time later came the word from the superintendent's office that she and the other teachers in the picture have been suspended along with the principal. We tried to get any kind of verification from the school office, but no comment.
You said what?
I heard that y'all got big cop, and I was going to see one because my man has a little.
You heard who got big cop?
Black boy.
Black boy?
Yeah, we got some big digs over here. Yeah, you want to see this one? Want to see this one? Yeah.
Yeah, shit, baby, black boy been had big old deal. I don't know who them fools is. We been had them motherfuckers done now. You finna show it to them? Shit, man, we had big cock. That's all. She said a big cock. I don't know what the fuck is a big cock. I don't know what the hell a big cock is. Shit, she want to see a big old dick, she say. He got a musk. What? He got a musk. What? He got a musk. What?
And here that just a few days ago was just covered in spray paint, and the neighbors are actually all very relieved that it's been taken off because there was some nasty stuff written here. But that was not the only damage. If you walk over here in this car, this is a lot tougher to get away. Smoke damage on this window, and then inside, something was lit on fire. This car was totaled. The pictures, too offensive to show clearly on camera, especially the racist language targeting African Americans. Amanda Miller, though, is white, just like the rest of her family, including her 14-year-old daughter, Brianna.
I've always tried to instill in her, be friends with who is good to you, like who is good to you. Make sure that, it doesn't matter what color somebody is, it doesn't matter what race they are.
Brianna heeding that advice and dating a young black man she met in church. That's why her mother thinks vandals came to their house and attacked their property.
It makes your heart sink. It's sad. It's awful. It makes you just feel like, oh my gosh, somebody has this much anger. What's next?
Thankfully, Brianna hasn't been home to see this firsthand. Her mom says she's visiting family in Florida. When she returns, though, her first stop will be at the sheriff's office, where Miller expects detectives to search through Brianna's phone and social media accounts for clues.
I don't want her to hide who she is. I want her to have a normal life like everybody else has. And I feel like this is going to kind of put her in a box where she feels like she can't get out of.
In addition to speaking with the deputies and investigators in Wayne County, the Miller family, they tell us they're also planning to speak with school administrators here. They still have some security concerns, even if they think it's probably best for Brianna to go back to school.
Yes.
I love these guys.
Dude, we're gonna rule the country. White power.
White
Fuck
power.
the niggers.
Yeah.
Fuck the
Fuck them
niggers.
all. Fuck them all. That's right.
Well, Dina and Steve, the Cubs actively working to track down that person who made that gesture during a live broadcast. That means tracking down who was sitting in that particular seat last night, cheering on the first place Cubs, while also creating controversy.
This offense has been hot.
The incident happened while former Cub Doug Glanville was on the air for NBC Sports Chicago. A man seated behind him flashed an upside-down OK gesture, which is said to be a symbol of white power. The broadcast cut to a graphic with stats, but the gesture was seen for several seconds. Some have argued it was just part of the circle game, which challenges a person's vision and reflexes, which is what this fan assumed.
I thought it was more of like a joke. Like there's the whole, where you put your hand below your waist and someone has to, break the circle. That's what I thought it meant.
If it is believed or suspected to be the circle game, then this person made a bad judgment call by using a symbol associated with racism above an African American reporter's head who's doing his job on live TV.
The Cubs have called the gesture ignorant and repulsive. The fan was gone by the time security went looking for him. The incident comes in the wake of racist emails earlier this year linked to Joe Ricketts, the patriarch of the family which now owns the Cubs. Outside Wrigley today, many Cubs fans are expressing dismay over what happened last night.
I don't know why anyone would want to do that, especially Doug Glanville. He's a great guy, but yeah, just not appropriate.
It's absolutely disgusting that anyone feels they can act that way at all, but especially on live TV. There's kids watching the game.
This is something that we're not going to drop. We're actively investigating this, trying to find out who this fan is and how they got access to those seats. They will be permanently banned from the ballpark.
The Cubs have already figured out that the seat belongs to a season ticket holder who sold the ticket to last night's game on the secondary market. We're told that Doug Glanville is aware of what happened behind him on the air. He has not yet offered public comment.
Parents of 3 teenage girls in Thompson want justice after they say their kids were attacked by 2 adults at a movie theater. The Thompson Police Department arrested and charged a man and a woman in the incident. News Channel 6's Renetta Dubose joins us now live with this story. Renetta, the parents say disorderly conduct is not a severe enough charge for what their children experienced.
Jenny, 3 friends went to see Pet Sematary last Saturday in Thompson. And during that film, the teens tell me 2 adults reported that some kids snuck their friends inside the theater without paying. Well, management looked into the situation and left, but after the movie ended, the teens say those adults took matters into their own hands.
We have to respect each other. What you talking about? We always safe. No phone. You go to the movie, you open the door and show.
This cell phone video captures a group of girls and who appears to be Larry and Antonia Rader talking to the teens about who opened the exit door inside the movie theater. Although the person recording the video is laughing, a very serious argument ensues between the kids and the adults, and then one bystander captures this.
Hush! Wait, you hush. There's a bunch of monkeys. You are mad! You know me! You're going to end up on the street doing drugs. No!
It's unclear what happens after that statement, but April 20th at the theater is very clear to these 3 girls and one mother arriving to pick up the crew who witnessed the unthinkable.
As I was running towards her, I see the gentleman hit my daughter.
Sherelle Yarbert says her 14-year-old, Takara Darden, texted her 15 minutes prior to the show ending like she always does. But when she pulled up, it was chaos. Darden says the couple came towards them very aggressively.
Right here on my face, and it was swollen that morning, but it went down.
The Raiders were arrested and charged with disorderly conduct, but Larry Rader tells us they were actually the ones physically hurt.
One of the larger, older teenage girls ran and knocked my wife over, ran over, knocked her down, pushed her down, and I bent over to try to protect her, and as I was doing that, protect her from being kicked and all that, as I got up, then one of them, either the same one or another one, knocked me down.
Comiskey Afu says her daughter, 14-year-old Micaiah Burnett, was sent to the hospital with a contusion to the eye after she says she was hit by 63-year-old Antonia Rader.
You harass these kids, you follow these kids, you put your hands on these kids. It'll be a different story with 2 grown people.
The parents are working to retain a lawyer, and they are adamant that they want to see stiffer charges. Now, the Raiders say they are awaiting their court date on June 11th.
Ladies, Tonya Nero of Trinidad and Tobago, like a blast from the past, beats out Larry Merchant and Natasha Wada of Canada. Her time, 36 minutes, 36.49 seconds. What a run indeed. And kudos must go to the first Barbadian woman across the line, Amanda Maximilian.
They wrong, cuz. Look at us. Yo. They wrong, cuz. Look, cuz, they wrong. What is they doing? Hey, Saudi, why? Whoa. I managed here, why? Oh, I have to report.
Okay.
Brother, I have to report you.
Okay.
You're wrong.
Thank you.
I have to get the license now.
Okay. We always give money. Okay, that's it.
Okay, you know a lot of.
Yeah.
I won't do the license.
See. Okay, that's it. No more. We always this done. Thank you.
Okay, take this. Give me a 20 and we good.
Huh?
Take this 10 back and give me 20 and you dump everything.
Okay, no more.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, first time I don't know. Sorry.
I'ma close my eyes.
Okay.
Why y'all do that?
No. We always 2P, you know.
Huh?
We always 2P1, you know. We always New Jersey, you know. We have a dump there.
But you know that's wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
Buddha, watch. Hey, you know Buddha don't like that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Make sure you give Buddha extra apple for your damn sins.
See.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yo, they tripping, cuz. Now, what we gonna do with this money? We gonna donate it to the lady that's sitting on this bench. Facts. And I want y'all to be a witness. So y'all won't be like, he took them people money. We're gonna give it right to that lady right here. What I'm saying is, every time they do stuff, it's like they overlook. Like they sell us cats, they sell us dogs, deers. Google it. Google Chinese people selling deers. Pick the deer up off the road. The lady like, this look like my delivery truck. She follows the car. These niggas took the deer back to the damn restaurant and called the cops. And they had it in the sink washing it, bruh. And they overlooked because they pay taxes in their business. You feel me?